Biom Asher Yom Nasi Livnei Asher. So the psukim in Parshas Nasi go through from Chedesh Nissen. So each Nasi of each Shevet brought korbanos for Chanukah Samizbeach, and the pasuk goes through each day which Shevet brought that day and the protag korbanos. So Biom Ashtei Asher Yom, the 11th day in Nissen, Yud Aleph Nissen. So who was the Nasi of which Shevet was Makriv a korban? Nasi Livnei Asher. The Nasi of Shevet Asher was the one that brought the korban. So, V'yisib Medrash, Kol HaShvatim, Al HaShvatim, L'Shem Gulazim Shel Yisrael, L'Shem Shvachim, Nikru Shmeisa. That Shem is HaShvatim, Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Shimon, Dan Naphtali, are the names are connected to two things. L'Shem Gulazim Shel Yisrael, each Shevet, each name of a Shevet brings out a certain prat in the Geula of Yisrael, Geulas Yisrael, and each name of the Shevet brings out another prat in the Shvach of Yidden. That has to do with the fact that the Torah says over each Shevet the brought karbanos. But the Ibn Chazal could have said in the Torah that the same carbon was brought each day by another Shevet. That's from Ibn Zagen, Be'im Hasheni Hikun Nesan Av Tzur, the Alda brought them over again, Be'im Hashlishi, Be'im Revi, because each, there said, even though it was the same number, it was different karbanos, because each Shevet brought the carbon for a different matara, for a different Inyan. So Avdem Zakt is there. Where is Merumas? Which Inyan each Shevet, the Inyan of the Akrav of each Shevet? It's Merumas in their name. Because the name of each Shevet is Shem Geulas Yisrael and Shem Shvachim. Nikru Shmeisa. Basman Neged to Asher. So Asher, where do you see how is the name Asher Meram is and expressed in of Geula of Yisrael? So Asher Nikru Shmeil Shem Geulas Shel Yisrael. But the Tema, the pasuk says, what's going to be Lasid Lavi? V'ishru Eschem Kol Hagayim. Alla Gayim Van Leibim. They're going to praise us, or they're going to see our greatness. So Lasid Lavi, we are going to be Ma'ushar by all the nations of the earth. So one of the Pradim of Gula Asida is V'ishu Esam Kol HaGoyim, and that aspect is that's expressed in the word Asher. We're going to be recognized. We're going to be praised. That's Asher. That's the Shem Gulas Shel Yisrael. Wo zet me the word Asher that Asher expresses Shvachim Shel Yisrael? Ul Shem Shvachim. When the time the pasuk sagt, Ashrei ha'om shekachalei, Ashrei ha'om she'Hashem alikov. In was besteht the Eishe, the luck or the fortune. In was besteht the fortune of a Yid. We're fortunate that Hashem alikov. So that does the tape to the uptation. Eini shunan shel Yisrael el ha'shavachar b'Hakadosh Baruch Hu. And just like the Medrash that in was besteht the greatest fortune of a Yid, the greatest luck is that they chose, or the greatest value that they have is the fact that they chose the Eibishter. Li is lehem l'likim. As a Yidut Bergen and the Eibishter Zayin God, V'Hakadosha Baruch Hu Bacher Behem Li Yisrael Lam's Gula. It's also true that another fortune, the fortune the Eibishter chose us to be His nation. It's two separate things. They say how fortunate is the people. Was their fortune that they chose Him to be their king? So was besteht their Eisha, the Eisha besteht in them that they chose this person should be their leader. And then they say something else, that the fortune of the leader is that he has such a good nation. So it wasn't that it says the fortune of the nation is that such a great leader, or the fortune of the leader that he has such a great nation. So there's two. The Medrash says that first thing the Medrash says is that the Yishur Shel Yisrael as Hamad Eibishter, and the Yishur not Stam as that they have the Eibishter. That the Shvach is that they chose the Eibishter, but that's the greatest of the leader. And then they also add that there happens to be that the Eibishter Bacher Behem Li Yisrael Lam's Gold. The Eibishter Zeh Becher given. You're saying that so to speak the Eibishter chose us, but that's another Shvach l'chor. The Medrash Arez bring that each Shevet that brought karbanis, like I said before, even though it was the same number of karbanis, each one brought the same amount karaskes of achash, the ganze poratim, the pasuk zog, but the kavana was different, and the kavana's menuv is in the name. So them the Medrash mamshich ksheba nasi asher lahakriv hikriv karbani al shem abchira shemach HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'Yisrael Kolumbus. The carbon given al shem zeh is nisinas teid of shvach HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What was the carbon? It was al shem the fact that the Eibishter chose us from Kolumbus. When the tema b'chol Baruch Hashem alkecha li yisrael lam's gula. So the Shad Rebbe asks is he begins by saying that the name Asher, Shem Asher, Yishur Shel Yisrael is Adem Asidin Becher given the Eibishter. And then the Medrash Meisef also as a Zaytik Gezah. Mirav Becher given, and it happens to be that he chose him. You say Reuven chose Shimon as a chavrusa. So it happens to be that Shimon also chose Reuven as a chavrusa. Reuven wanted Shimon and Shimon wanted Reuven. So the Medrash begins by saying that the Yidden chose the Eibishter to be their king. And the Medrash is Meisiv that the Eibishter also chose him, chose us to be his nation. But so the Mash'ikar Advarim is that what's the name Asher? What's the Ikar Shvach that Asher represents is the fact that Yidden chose the Eibishter. That's the Shvach. Was besteht the Geidel Amayla as Mira, we knew who to choose. We knew to choose the Eibishter. You knew who to choose. But then when it says the Firach Shavan, as Yashal Akdiv, as the Mivasig event, the carbon, not L'Shem Zeh that we knew that our Bechira was in the Eibishter. The carbon was that the Eibishter chose us. L'chor the Sivas in the Rinyan. That's the Ershe Shai. So Archlav and Nechilas in the name of the Yisrael Yisrael L'Shabachar V'Akadosh Baruch. But Zeh Shemam Shashakish Baruch Bacher Behem, which is L'chor Kavei Davar Nesef. It's not Chazak. But Achri Zeh the Asher Hashem Yisrael says the Mitzad Vasig event that Krovas Hikriv Korban Hashem Bechira Shabachar V'Akadosh Baruch Yisrael. That's the shas. The Rebbe's going to be later in the Maimer. The Kodesh Advarim is that there's taketu in yon. The main thing is that Yidden were beicher by Kodesh Baruch. But the carbon has to do with the fact that Eibishter chose us. The Shem Asher, Iker, the name Asher, Iker Shvachim Shal Yisrael is that we chose the Eibishter. But the carbon hatter to tanz them. The carbon hatter to tanz them that the Eibishter was beicher us. And the Eibishter being beicher us and us being beicher him are not two separate points. There's a connection between the two. But and the Iker Shvach is the fact that we chose the Eibishter. But the carbon has to them. The carbon has to do with other aspect of the Eibishter choosing us. That I was going to explain at the end of the Maimer. Side the Kesher thing that two the Eibishter chose us and we chose him, and why the Iker Shvach is that we chose him, and the carbon has to do with the fact that the Eibishter chose us. That's going to be Hamshich Hamayim. Okay, so I'm sorry, Cholov, and Achashai the Bechira Shai Bavke B'Shnei Devarim Shneim Shav Eish B'Cholech and Mishmal Hashem Zulas. When is the Shai to say that I'm choosing something? If you have a selection, if you have two things, you Shai to say that I'm choosing something. But if someone wants, you're looking for a Gemara Bava Kama, and there's only one Bava Kama. You don't have two. Say, I chose this one. That was the only one that existed. You don't have a selection. There's no selection. It's not Shai to say that I chose. You can only have a choice between a selection. So the Rebbe Shaila is, you have different types, and then the Rebbe adds another point. The selection has to be in a way that each one is equal. Because if let's say the Mashal, someone wants a Gemara Bava Kama, let's say, and one Gemara, you have two Bava Kamas, but one Gemara has a Lichtika Esis Miris, a much better print, and the other one is a Shvacha print, so it's not Shaveh, so again, the better one is the only one, is the correct one to take, what Shaita said that you chose. The true musig of Bechira is that there's a selection, and there's no reason to take one over the other, because if there's a reason, so then you don't need a choice for that. So then your ratzon is then you. It's not a question of choice. Then what makes sense is to want that. So Bechira is only shaykh when you have it. So the first thing is has to be a selection. That's the first thing. And b'chorev and an Eibishter, a Yid's looking for an Eibishter, someone to be our manig. The Yidden were beicher b'Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Many getchkes to be beicher from, many leaders of the world. And Yidden shows the Eibishter. The Eibishter can't eicher. There's no selection. The Eibishter is the only emes, and everything else is hevel avalim. But the shaykh is talking b'chir after. That's the fact. That's the only one that exists. What does it mean that you chose it? That's the shaykh. But bein advarim, this practice is going to be negated for the hamshich advarim. That b'chir shaykh dafke, there is not only, of course, you need to have two things, but it has to be two things that are equal. Because if they're not equal, say a person wants a Gemara. And it's important for you and you want the Gemara, you want it. So whatever's going to be more behesim to the ratzon, you're going to take it the same way. If you want a Bava Kama, but Mitzvah is not part of the selection. It's not what not what you're looking for. So if you have a better Bava Kama and a lesser Bava Kama, so the better Bava Kama doesn't have to be chosen. That's what you're looking for to begin with. That's going to suit your ratzon. It's not shaykh to say b'chira. B'chira is only shaykh when you have two things that legabi the thing that you're looking for, or they're literally both equal. Someone goes to the store and has three, two boxes, or two of this, exactly the same. Zel Bezach, two Gemara of a Kama, exactly the same. So then, which one are you going to take? So also, if it's going to be the one on top, so you'd rather take the one on top, so you didn't have to work so hard to take your hand under. So you didn't choose to take the one on top. You didn't have to, it wasn't a question of choice. You're going to take the one that's more suited to what you want. What suits what you want? There's only one that suits what you want. Because part of what you want is, you shouldn't have to work hard to get it. So you're going to take the top one, let's say. We have to find two that's exactly equal, and Memela, you don't make a choice. Usually it's a random thing. But then it's shaykh to say that I chose this one. They're both the same. Legabi, what I wanted, they both suit. Or none of them is more behesim to my ratzon more than the other one. So why'd you take this one? I chose, there's a selection, I had two to choose from. It means the two things that were behesim to the thing that I wanted. And I went and I chose one of them over the other one. Then shaykh to say b'chira. That's one. So one ifin of b'chira is that they're both equal, or even if they're not both equal, but the Rebbe adds another part because that's going to mean to get to the teretz of the Maimer. If each one, let's say one Gemara has a Maila that is Esis Miris, Lichtika Esis. but let's say the Dibur Masal of Rashi is not bold. The other Gemara has the Maila that it's lighter, let's say. And each one of these Mailas appeal to you equally. Different Mailas, but each Maila, let's say by a person, for him is equally important. It's hard to be Mitzvah Tzir, but it's equally important that when he holds the Gemara, it should be light. And it's equally important that he should have a good fuss of the Marsha and all the sort of the Maila that the heavy Gemaras have. Equally important, both things. This one has a Maila that it's light, and this one has a Maila that you have all the Chveis the Marsha or you have all the Ramba, I know what they put in the back, you have all these Mefarshim in the back. For him, two is different than Yan. That should be a light, safer to carry, and he should have Mefarshim in the back. And for him, each one of these Mailas are equally important. So now, which one is he going to choose? So now he has a choice. Legabi, what he wants, both of these Sfardim have a Maila, an equal quality Legabi what he wants. So it's not that one of them suits his Ratzon and one of them doesn't. Both of them equally suit his Ratzon. Why? Because each one has a Chisarin or has a Maila, the other one doesn't have. And the Maila is Tevis Makam in B'Shabbat. This word is negate the Rebbe Shchamayim, because the Rebbe is masber later in the Maimon. What's the pshat that Yidden were Beicher HaKadosh Baruch Hu? The Eibush is doch the Eitzig Emes. But the Torah says there's a certain mile that Klippos have, the Rumas Eilim have. Because if someone wants to be a bigger Metzias, a bigger Yesh, it's more. Then the Eibush is not the best route to take. If someone wants to be a Metzias for Te'elas Atzmei, for Yeshes Atzmei, with everything masber the Rebbe Shchamayim. So then there's a mile in Klippos. So there's a mile in all the course that's the truth. But there's a mile in having a shaykhus to Masailim. The mile is that life is easier. Other miles the Rebbe speaks, life is easier, and it's behesim. You don't have to be mevatli yourself. Kama miles. So it's not the miles that they have. They don't have the same mile as Holocaust. They have another mile. And the shaykhus says the gabi a person, the kaviyachol living according to the truth or living an easy life, let's say, are both equal qualities. We're going to see later, but each one, the terrace is going to be not that Chas v'Shalom u'Masa'elam and the Eibush or Galekei Neicha and the Eibush is b'shtein b'Shabbat. That's usually the terrace. But the terrace is going to be that Sidam Ma'il and Galekei Neicha that a Lakus Kaviyachol doesn't have, and there's of course a Ma'il and Lakus that the Galekei Neicha don't have. So Meila Yid will have an imitzvah which should be Mekabel Hashpah from. He wants to have a man. He wants to someone that he should be able to serve. So there's a Ma'il and a Lakus. The Ma'il and Lakus is emes, but the pile for your own pnius, there's a Ma'il in Klippos. There's a Ma'il in Lamazah, and living according to your pnius, the motive of your pnius, and having a shaykhus to the emes is ba'ashva, the gabi what you're looking for. We'll have to see that Namshach Maimer. So that's the Rebbe's Mat Geshir. The tchid is shaykh by two things, or b'shnei dvarim sheshneim shavim. So none of them suit your ratzon more than the other one. Because if one of them suits your ratzon more, then this is what you want. What's shaykh to say? It's not shaykh to choose. The same if you only have one bavakama, it's not shaykh to say that I chose it because that's the only one that was available. If you have two, but one of them suits more your ratzon, automatically that one that suits more your ratzon is the one that you're looking for. It's not shaykh to say there's no true selection. So the b'chira is shaykh to say if you have two things which are equal, or they're not equal, they're equal in the sense that they're both mamish b'shabbat. Shtei seirim geral, they stay two the same size and the same, they look the same, everything exactly the same. Or they're different, but each one has a mile that the other one doesn't have. And both of these milas are tefes makim b'shabbat.
What's the meaning of the b'chira? They're both the same. Why isn't your
It's not then there's a concept of b'chira. There's a concept of a person choosing something. Concept of choice is that not that by definition the only thing that suits you is this. There's a concept of a person choosing. You're saying what's the concept of this? Of b'chira.
It's not a meaning kosher to
That's nicht mit dem.
It's just b'chira.
I don't know. You're saying a psak. You're saying a psak. Do we experience this when you go to the store? No, I don't think you're b'chira. Pum this gemara. It's a random. I said before. Regularly it's random.
I would argue.
This is not the discussion of the Bible. Whether there's a concept of b'chira, you're saying that you go to the store, you choose this
say
gemara. Okay.
Most choices you really make
Are not
what they
b'chira.
consider a choice is when there's a mile and one is
That wasn't what his question was. His question was, right, exactly, but it's not real choice. But you're saying, let's say there's two equal gemaras. When you go to the store, there's a shelf full of the same bava kama. So you're choosing, or is just you're not choosing? Any one that goes into your hand, you're going to take. So that's what. So he's saying the monashach, or one of them suits your ratzon more, and then it's not b'chira. Then it's just verifying what suits my ratzon more. Then I didn't choose this. I'm just coming to the conclusion of what I want. Then it's not b'chira. I wanted to learn this masechta. The only object available was this, or this is the most suited to my ratzon. If they're both so then I don't want. Then I don't need dafka this. And then anyone randomly, I'm going to take one of them. But there's a concept of b'chira. There's a concept of two being the same, equal, and I actively choose this route. But in the case of Maila She'echa She'em B'Zolasi, maybe you could, I don't know if you can say in Poil. Shteim Shom Shvertz Masarzen. There doesn't say in the Hemshech HaMaim. There doesn't speak in the Hemshech HaMaim. But let's say in a Pashta Tzir, someone has, I don't want to use differently, I'm just saying this just to bring out this point. But if someone has, let's say, a glass of water, let's say, and he has a mashke mosik, and the mashke mosik tastes better, it's geschmack, he's going to have a better experience, but let's say it's unhealthy. Mashke in the water is not going to be as enjoyable the experience of drinking, but it's more healthy. You have a bit by him, being healthy and having a good 5-minute drink is equally important to him. To have a good experience in drinking is the Coke, and being healthy exactly, and not some being healthy is more important than having a good time. But some person having a good time is more important than being healthy. So then it's not shav. Well, let's say by him, the mile which exists in Coke, which is having an enjoyable 5-minute fresh drink, and the mile of water, if it's going to be a healthy chveizvas, whatever, is equally important to him. Is it shaykh to choose or is it going to be random? According to your, is it shaykh to choose? Shaykh to choose. What's that choice based on? You're saying, do I really care about health? I really care about Coke.
No, you're picking you're picking one?
So I'm saying the shaykh to say that a club, a regular person, I'm going to choose this over that. What makes more? What do I care about more? But the Rebbe is saying such a mitzvah is a shaykh that each one has a quality that they're taki equal. Means you're a type of person that by you, the being healthy and the Coke is exactly the same chshivas. And then you can be becher. And I'm deciding now, where does it come from? Why should I be becher? If they're both equal, a person is becher to drink the cold water or the Coke. Anyway, that's the shayla. What's the musik of bechira? That's not what the Rebbe is coming to explain here in this part. But that's an other nicht das Rätsel.
And the more equal they are, the harder it is to choose.
No. The more equal they are, that's when choice is shaykh.
Yeah.
No. If they're not equal, so then you're just verifying what you're really connected to. It's not a choice. To begin with, that's what you're interested in. If someone is, for him, health is more important than enjoying himself, he didn't have to choose the water. That he really wants, he has to be aware of what he really wants. He really wants health. He's not going to be enjoyed, but he really doesn't care about that. Yeah, but most of the things that we do are not choices. This is it's not choice. That's not a. Okay. But let's stay focused to what the Rebbe is bringing out of here. This is a very important. And there's a selection. I'm choosing one. Not that my begin with that I want suits one of them. What are we dealing with up here? I'm saying, if you want a God, there's only one of them. And if you want shtusim, so then the Eivish is not shtusim. There's no comparison between them. I'm saying, what's the tzad What's the bechira over here? So a person doesn't know what he wants. Ervesis Ervil, within the thing that he wants, where is he going to get that? So then it has to be. There's no dimik to the Eivish. But this question the Rebbe doesn't answer in this Mamre, clear way. The Rebbe reflect this. The shayla before the Rebbe does the ganze Mamre is mevar that in. But lamer zend the shayla. That is a bezeh Baruch Baruch Rabbi Yisrael. So the lashon that steht umedum at the bechartanim mikol an the Eibush chose us. So the shayla is that Yisrael im nailin be'ena rechem kol ulis. Ma shakish Baruch Baruch Rabbi Yisrael. What's the comparison between a yid and a goy? Society say yid has a neshama, a goy doesn't have a neshama. The Chassidus explains that even I'm saying Barichas and the Figas Amar, that even when we speak about the Nefesh Bahamis, the Nefesh Sichlis, a Yid and a Goy, there's no comparison between them. No comparison between them. And Rebbe's Lashon is the Bein Arech. Bein Arech, I'm saying in Nishnor Mitzad Nefesh Olekis, even Bein Arech from all aspects. A Yid and a Goy, there's no comparison with Chol.
Is that Mitzad Hashem shows us, or was before Hashem shows us?
What the Rebbe is saying here is that a Yid's Bein Arech, you're going to, everything begins with Eibishter. That's not the part of Adam Chartanu is that the fact that we're relate to Hashem is a result of choice. Not that the Eibusher told. Adam Chartanu is not the Eibusher told us that I chose you, but we don't see it. Adam Chartanu is that the fact that a Yid is different than a guy is an akud of the Eibusher choosing us. So the Rebbe is saying, what do you mean? The way things play out in the world, a Yid and a guy to begin with have no comparison between them. These are people that are called in Yanam as Mesiris Nevesh on the Eibusher. And their Badal Talakus and their Seichel is different, their Midas are different. But Shekin a guy is a whole different type of Metzias. I'm saying, well, what's the Dimyan B'chlal? The Eibusher wants a nation that's going to be dedicated to him. There's a whole different level of dedication that a guy has. There's no comparison to L'chatchila. So, the Eibusher created everything. But I'm saying what Rebbe is discussing here is the fact that we're saying Ata b'chartanu is that we're saying that there's us when you look at a Yid and a guy, you're able to see that the fact that a Yidden are unique is because the Eibusher chose us. And the Chorah is not a choice. We're to begin with different. See, why is a cat and a person a person? Because the Eibusher created it. Versteht sich? You're going to say the Eibusher chose, but they're two different entities. What are you going to do about it? You don't call us the chosen from plants. The Eibusher made it. He created this, created that. That's not the discussion now. He created everything. That's not the discussion. But why? I'm saying you're going into a side discussion that should get to the Gufin. Is the Shayat to say the Eibusher chose us from a diamond, from an Evan? He chose us to be his nation. It's not Shayat to say that. Evan is not a nation. It's an object. You say, but the Eibusher created the Evan. Who cares that the Eibusher created it? But he created an inanimate thing. He didn't create something which is Shayach to be available to be his nation. He created a stone. He could have created another species of people, but he didn't. He created a stone. A stone is not an option for it to be his nation, his people. So the Rebbe is saying the truth is that a guy also, he was created, but he created a species, which is the Ein Arech lower than Yidden. Is the Ein Arech lower than Yidden? So we're not chosen. There's only one people that suit to be his nation. The Eibush is looking for a people that should be loyal to him, whatever the Hasbara is, looking for an Am. The only Am that suits what the Eibush wants is a Yid. Because there's no comparison to Yid and a Guy. So he could have created Goyim differently, but he didn't create Goyim differently. He created Goyim that they're low, Shalei Berech lower than a Yid. So the way he created them, there's no need for a choice.
My question wasn't about the being creations of that was before Mount Torah.
No, why before? The Rebbe, are you saying that maybe Avraham Avinu was the same as everyone else?
Well, like Yid and Mitzrayim.
They were there. So what comes out is that Yidden were different. Yidden were different from L'chatchila. Yeah. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that Avraham Avinu was Zeichel, L'chatchila he was Zeichel. Okay, it's not Chashad. You're saying that L'chora Yidden, B'shas and Torah, we were all the same.
I don't know. I'm saying
okay, that's a shaklat. In Chassidus is Zichar Nishta Zeh. Avraham Avinu was the one who was Zeichet, special Neshama, and he was Mamshech Lazari Achra, and B'yitzchak Yikar L'chazar. Yeah. Oh, so the Shaila is, so L'chora says something Chir in them. There's no comparison between Yid and a Goy. So what does David show? He say someone doesn't know what he wants. That's not bchira. You don't know what you want. To decide what you want and then to choose one thing. No, you know what you want and you have two things equally legabi what you want. But if there's nothing bashva between these two things, what's the shayat to say that they have two equal ways to fulfill your will? If there's no comparison between these two things, if there's no comparison. So one of you want loyalty, only a yid has it. You want stam garnished, so then a good. Only a guy is garnished. A yid is nicht garnished. Was willst du? So the Eibusher wants. There's no a yid and a guy is not a selection. That's what the Rebbe fragt. The Indian is clear. The Shaila. Oh, so then sagt the Rebbe Gamash because of Tanya. So the Alter Rebbe in Tanya comes to answer this question. The Alter Rebbe says we say in the Siddur, we say in davening, Ubana b'charta mekalam b'loshen. So the Alter Rebbe gehol eriches. Ubana b'charta hu haguf hachumri hanidme b'chumri yusuf the guf yom hasayim. So what's that coming to explain? How do you say the Lashon Bona B'charta? B'chira, there has to be a selection of two. And it has to be that they're both equal. If not, like I said before, one of them suits more, so he's the one. He's the one that suits. The other one doesn't suit. The other one is further. So the Alter Rebbe says there that's going on the guf. Guf hachumri means the physical chaymer of the guf, which is nidim chumris the guf yom hasam. What's the Alter Rebbe in Pash? It's the fact that he eats be'en higher than a guy. That's negate his nefesh. Not only nefesh al-kis, also nefesh al-sichlis, also nefesh al-bahamis. The Alter Rebbe is in Tanya, nefesh al-bahamis of a guy is shosh kubas at meis, nefesh al-bahamis of a yid is kubas nega. So there's no comparison between the psyche of a yid and the psyche of a guy. But the physical body is the same. No, physical body is the same. One second. We're reading it over here. I'm saying it's all open. The books are open. So what's the Alter Rebbe saying? Pashas and Tanya. The physical body is the same of the physical body of a guy. The physical body of a yid is the same as the physical body of a guy. So on the Eibusher at Becher given, he wants a Yiddischer guf. Nicht the Eibusher at Becher at gewollt haben. Not only the Eibusher wanted a loyal nation, he wanted what's connected to him is also the physical body of a yid. He wanted a nation and their bodies should be connected to him. His interest, his ratzon should be in their guf. Legabi gufas, both gufas are the same. A guf of a guy, the guf of a yid. On the Eibusher is gebeche given that this is the guf that he wants. This is the guf where he invested himself in. So the guy with the guf is shayach to bechira. Because if the Eibush, you see, some he's not looking for a body. He wants a psyche, a certain person. His body is a mishtevus magim. So then it's not shayach to bechira. The Eibush wants the mohos or the nefesh of a yid or a guy. But the Eibush echad becher, he wants to invest himself in a nation, in a certain body also. That in their bodies, his kedusha should be invested. Legabi the guf, a yid and a guy the same body. And of them shaychas dagen, the Eibush had becher given to want and to be invested that this guf should have a shaychas to him. This guf should be one with him, with all the biyurim that exist in that. The guf should have kedusha. So of them fragt the Rebbe that when the Rebbe's lashon guf comes to us, that the beer, the Rebbe's lashon is, if the Rebbe would say guf achumri hadayme, or a guf achumri which is equal. The chumri yusayim. The Rebbe should have said a guf achumri sheshave v'chumri yusil the guf yusayim. The Rebbe doesn't say that lashon that it's equal. The Rebbe says guf achumri hanidme. The Rebbe attaches nidme means zesh guf yisrael nidme v'chitzenius. It means externally it appears to be similar. It appears to be the same, but the truth is that it's not the same. Not only it's not the same, the Rebbe is saying here that the guf of a yid and the guf of a guy is nicht dieselbe Sache. A guf of a yid is anders. Lamai, in the chitzeni is like a part of the guf. It's not. There's no way to recognize it. It's not like certain things. The chilik between, let's say, the psyche of a yid and the psyche of a guy is never shasichlis. So that also not nicht jeder einer can verstehen to see, to notice the difference between a yid and a guy. There's biurim chassidus how the nefesh shasichlis of a yid is more edeler, more dark than a guy, and there's biurim how the nefesh ba'al. That is in time nefesh ba'al says midas tevis klipas nega. But not everybody can notice a yid and a guy. The guy is a nice guy, and the yid could be a chazarius again. I'm saying you need to have a. But lepoil, it's a factual difference that their gdorim are different. The guf, if you're going to look at the physical matter of the guf, no doctor will be able to discover the difference between a yid and a guy inside the guf. What the Rebbe says here. But the pnimius are different. Not only the pnimius, beruchnis. The nature of the guf is different, but you can't. But there's no way to tell the difference. But it's different. Versteht the meaning? If it would be a different texture, let's say the difference between the texture of the body of the person and the body of a cat. So also maybe people that look only b'chitzenius will look at his flesh and this is flesh. But let's say biology, he'll see a difference. This chilik that I'm speaking about here, b'chitzenius, it means to the external to ayin agashmi, you cannot tell the difference. But it's not the same. So the guy with the Eibush there, the fact that externally they seem the same is not a beer. The guy with the Eibush there, which he sees the truth that the guf of a yid is totally different than the guf of a guy. It says a guf nid Yisrael nid v'chitzeni is the guf of himself. So Mamre Friedrich Rebbe, he's Tafish Tzadik Vav. I remember the Dibra Maskell, but the figure brings there that there's on one. The Rebbe says nid v'chumri yosei the guf of himself. That means on one hand, there is certain even the guf of a yid is different than the guf of a guy. Push the texture. I'm saying even the chaymer aguf, the tzir aguf. The same you have in like the psar ha'adam is different and more edel than the psar ha'chai. So the psar of a yid, there's a certain dakos in the evarim of a yid which the guy doesn't contain that dakos. That's the ein zach. The chumri is aguf. Then there's the pasha I don't know exactly what it means in the body, but there's the chumrius, the chaymer itself. The chaymer itself, the chitzenius is the same. The pnimius is different. It's the same way you happen to get to the ivarim. So you have the keicharia, so there's a certain edelkeit, a certain litush in the ayin that makes it a keicharia to the keicharia, and then there's the chaymer gufa. The chaymer ha'ever, not the litush or not the edelkeit that exists in the ever. There's the chaymer itself. So legabi the litush ha'ivarim, or the certain tchunis in the ivarim which a certain edel tchunis that they have. Legabi that a yid and a guy take a different, and a yid's edelkeit shalebe is a different eifin than the edelkeit of a guy. But even in the chaymer, where it's not the chaymer l'chor is the same chaymer, but pnimi is a different chaymer. I understand what this means, but that's the Rebbe saying over here. Not Perek Mikdash. You're talking about Perek Zayin, Perek Ches now. Yeah. So the Rebbe says that Kiyum Gufam. That's what Kiyum Gufam Gufam Seilem. Shosh Gufam Meis.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that could be the source of energy,
Yeah, an
Chai,
energy.
not the physical matter of the body.
So it does.
Here the Rebbe is
there
saying the
are
physical-
some goyim, and currently find this.
Definitely Klubas Nega.
There's a source somewhere. I need to look it up more.
That's Goyim Klubas Nega.
That there are chassidus argument that get from klubas neiga.
The Rebbe, it's in a letter. That's from the Pillow Parish. It says that,
Yeah,
yeah.
he says it there, and then it's only in Seder Nach. That's all the reference.
Could be.
Could be other places, but I
Okay.
didn't see any sources.
But you're speaking about Chayes Liki. I'm talking about the physical
Yeah, yeah.
Chaymer, the Psar.
So
You
this
say
is
an avela, an animal that's an avela is also Makabal Chayes and Shosh Guset Meis. Once it's not Shech, Geshacht and Kedin, or different Ifan. Is in the physical matters, you see a difference.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
So the Rebbe is speaking over here, Pasha, the physical Psar Haguf. So first of all, the Rebbe says that the Psar Haguf of a Yid, there's a certain aspect, there's two aspects in the Guf. There's the Tchunis, a certain, besides for the physical matter that each Aver has, there's a certain texture that makes it a keli to the Keches Shambalubish in it. There's a chveis, the mayach is kar velach. Not just not the physical matter, the tchunis of the Aver. Certain, I don't have the physical thing. So same you say there's a difference between the, let's say fire and water, not fire and water is not a bit. You have solid and a davar nasal. Not a question. They're both matter, but there's different tchunis in this matter. So the gabi tchunis, the gabi this is a fluid and this is a solid. Let's say. It's like gabi tchunis. There's a difference between the tchunis, the way they are by a yid, and the way they are by a guy. There's no comparison between them. But the Alter is madgish the chumrius of the guf. The chumrius means the matter itself, not the tchunis of the matter itself. And even the matter itself, the chaymer gufa, even in that, the premise of a yid is anders nagay, not the premise ruchnis. Begashmi is an anderini.
Who said more about the tchunis?
Who says? I'm saying what the Fidigur says in the Maim.
If
If it would have been tchunis, then you could tell bechitzenius. They're saying it's something you cannot tell bechitzenius. It's more of a. It's not a davar that could be proven or could be seen. You can't notice it in physical terms. A doctor will never be able to notice this difference. But they're bad some different. Even that verstehen, but. The Bill wrote about it I don't know if he wrote it Psagan Beer, but there's a kevis with Beis Chayim. And dort hat geschrieben, the pshat in this word of that the pnimius is different. So a beer, because Friedrich Rebbe says, and also in this environment, Sadik Vav, I remember it says before the Gabi Yid or not, but Friedrich Rebbe sagt is dorten, that besides the Washal, da steht noch Sidis, that the fact that the Eber is a keli to Seichel, Mer is a keli to Seichel, Ein is a keli to Kecharia, because there's a certain tchunis in the Ein which make it a keli to Kecharia. There's a certain edelkeit and a certain shine in the Psara Ein, a litush, which makes it a keli to the Kecharia. And there's a certain tchunis in the Mayach that make it a keli to Seichel. But the Friedrich says, besides that, there's another union in the fact that the Mayach is a keli to Seichel. Besides for the tchunis that each Eber has. So if Friedrich brings, it means a raya. The raya is that if the whole thing was just totally on tchunis, then the same way every person could see equally. Okay, a person could have eyesight, could get schwacher for external reasons, but it's not like in the Kecharia functions each person b'shad. Why by seichel? So there's a dargis and bali seichel. Some more, some less. Why the guy be seichel? If the whole part was just a technical thing, that if the mayach is a keli to seichel because it has dirt in the car, cham the yavish. So each person should have been the same. Now became we see differences. As that word to dirt. So he says, because been nice to the tchunis of there's another union. There's in yani hapnimi of the mayach, not just not a technical physical thing. It's the mayach is destined for seichel. It's not this destined. You can't. It's not a question of tchunis mamashiyas in the mayach. The mayach is miyuad in yani hapnimi is for seichel, and at that Indian there's differences between people. So it's not a. If it was just a technische Zach when you get to Psara Ayin, so then if you have these tchunis, but it's not just a technical thing. In Yaniya Pnimi of the Mayach is to begin with. It suits you. You say someone just to bring a dugma. It's not a good dugma. Just you have someone that you say people move to a certain place or they go to a certain place and they feel like this is the place that suits me. People feel comfortable in a certain place. Some people could be moved somewhere, and he never felt that this place was his place. He always felt it was strange in that place. pinpoint exactly what's the word he was the climate, the this, the that. There's certain things that he felt this is his place. It suits him. It's not a ruchnistic thing necessarily. It's not a ruchnis anefesh. There's a certain thing that his general being suits that mode, even though it's not necessarily can't pinpoint always the agdar. But if you go to the Zavart, the mayach, besides the fact that the mayach has tchunis of kach v'kach, in yani hapnimi of the aver of the mayach is safe. Now he says when you get to all aver, but the mayach he said that it's more arizgebrach the vart. So you want to say that's what the vart to be here also. The fact this in you can't tell this in the chitzenis, but the gabe the yani hapnimi, which in yani hapnimi of the chaymer, not it. So a yid by the yid in yani hapnimi is beif and achar the gamri than the mayach.
Is he saying that it's
Who? This what I just said now is I just mentioned this the sigrayin avart from a beer. This doesn't say this before the beer. The Rebbe just says this what it means into chitzenius. So he says that from based on Mamre the Friedrich Rebbe that the vart is that there's inyan besides for the tchunis of the evarim there's inyanam hapnimi and legabe that a yid's be'en arich l'nagay. That's it.
Is he saying it's the same thing as like the mayach or similar?
Just a dogma that you have besides for the tchunis, you have inyani hapnimi of the evar. Let me get him so weiter. Lass uns get to the Sag mal das fragt er. So wir sagen gewissen in der Bibel khol bin yalla kadish. Lass mal bin yun zebek mach kosel khol gavay nafsh. Pasuk says that the yid chooses the Eibush. Chal ki havaya, who should be my chelik is havaya. Amr nafsh. Yisuf medrash. Ma shalom melesh in chesam dina bayim duchsin v'ifrichin v'stratilutim. Chul. So we had different type of ministers together with him. And then the people had a chance, each one chose who do they want to serve, who do they want to be connected to. Chad Omar Anan Nochsiv Duchsin Legabi. Chad Omar Anan Nochsiv Ifrichin Legabi. Chad Omar Anan Nochsiv Istratilutin Legabi. And then there was a special klugermensch, Hoya Pika Chechad L'Sham. There was someone clever. And he said, Anan Nochsiv Malko. He's going to take the king. Why? All the other people, they said they're taking, if they're Duchsin Ifrichin, didn't have to say any reasons. The one that wants the melech, so the gesagt time. What was the reason? Kulum is chalfim, because the ministers could be fired. They're changeable. Mashiach Malka, Edim is chalf, the melech is other melech, no one can fire. He's the so Kain Umasaylam, does Dr. Medrash Amoshel. What's the name? Shalom Umasaylam, Hen, Evden Lacham, Evden Lovanov. Abel Yisrael in an Evden Allah Kodesh Baruch. Hato Dichsiv Chalki Avaya Amr Nafshi. Yes, I follow the Medrash. First of all, what is wrong with that? What do you need a smart person for? In the marshal, even you're looking. Who's the melech is the greatest? How do you know? He's the king. I mean, if he's the king, that means he's the greatest. Their ministers needs the king. The king means that he's the ultimate authority. So what's the question? He's greater than the duchsin. What do you need to have a pikhos for? Gam the Pika sagt the what is it? First of all, what is he bringing reasons for? We don't need the reason. The Melech is greater. And what's the reason that he brings? Because the Duchsin could be fired, the Melech not. And then the Rebbe adds that you say that the kid you have to be a Pikach to notice the Melech's godless. There's no comparison between the Melech and the ministers. בפרט לפי הידוע בפירוש הקודש בשיח ממלא גבוה מכל העם, שגם שיח בשל המלך, העיניים בידי שמשך המעשה חשוב בריש, שלמדת ממנו, הם גבוה יצא מהריש של כל העם, שבזה כל העם נכון, גם הסתרים הכי גדולים. That means that the melech is בעין הריחי. Such I have to say that the problem pictures because people don't notice the greatness of the melech. The melech is shalei be'er higher even than the sardam הכי חשוב. Because the pasuk says, גבוה משיח מבמאי לגבוה מכל העם. The fact that even his neck, his shoulder is higher than the whole arm, means that it's shalei be'er chayir. We'll just see that. Legabi, who is the shalei be'er chayir? Not only legabi the simple people, kol ha'am, which kol ha'am is kelos tarim achik delim. Come the case that it's shalei be'er chayir than the duchsin, istratilutin. If what's happening with sapichas, someone that's it's known as in a smuggle to make a mistake in the greatness of the king legabi the son, because shalei be'er. You have someone that different ways people saw Melech coming to he didn't realize who's the minister and who's the Melech. We're saying the true Melech is Shalei Be'erach greater than the ministers. Shich mevamayla, gavei mikola. So the first question is what's like an onkum tzadpikas, and the second thing is why do you need a reason? Why do you need a reason? That's the reason we explain in the Nimshal first, and then we'll see also the pshat in the Mashal. I just want to say this word. I think it's a tired word. What's the pshat when you say Meshich? The clause we want to bring out by saying that the Shich Me'Melech Gavayim Mikol Am, that it's not that the Melech and the Am, or the start of Achik Deilim, there's a gradual this, and is not aggressive. He's a different caliber, a different Darga Legam. We break with that even his midis, Shaul HaMelech, his shoulder was higher, he was taller begashmis than the head of the whole Am. So what's the greatest amount that he was taller? Physical to goivas, nicht was far Eilus does. But because the fact that he was govei begashmis, as meram, the beruchnis, his neck or his shoulder was higher than their meich. What's b'sheit that flow? What's interesting seichel midis? What does it mean that his midis are higher than their brain? That means that Shaul HaMelech's his Av Yira was able to figure out the Gemara also. What's meant is that his midis were higher than the seichel of the whole Am. But the Erev of the Zachen is that the difference between Meichen and midis is that Meichen is that a person is able to, the Tnuah, to be able to not be focused on yourself, to be able to figure out the truth. To be able to try to understand and try to get to the bottom of objectively what the truth is. And midis is not what's the truth, again, midis is not what's the truth of the Indian, but how the Indian has an effect on me. Is it good for me? Is it not good for me? Am I afraid of it or not? So even Klali, Meichen is a Tnuas habitul that a person has, that he's not to be, busy with himself, but more to elevate himself. He should be neged the Indian. Mashiach midis is not he's neged the Indian of how the Indian affects him, or how the Indian relates to him. So the midis is the b'chinas hamitzias of a person. So them zogman that the mitzias of the melech, his yeshes, so to speak, his self, is higher than the bittul of the whole am. Was haste by ze bittul, haste by em yeshes, haste by em mitzias. Or the was haste by em mitzias, haste by ze bittul. Another zach, and it's a different type. You see someone, was bashit the mile, that he's more ibergem to the Indian. That's time he's more higher bittul, is someone a deeper bittul. So what's but them is considered bittul is by him mitzias. What's by him considered mitzias, by them is bittul. Another certain. I'm saying that's not his midas. What does it mean his midas is higher than his seichel? What does it mean his midas is higher? What do we mean higher and lower? I mean higher and lower is what's more connected to the truth. Let's say we want to use that in those words. Or greatness is being able to be nis'ale, let's say the same way, being nis'ale to the emes. Or a person not being stuck in his own yesh, his own mitzvahs. That's nidrikai. That's pachos. Goiva is that a person is able to be nis'ale, that he should care about the Indian, he should care about the emes, he should care about the makir. So what's considered by them bittul, that's lower than his mitzvahs. There's every mitzvah, there's the nekudas habittul and the halah that he has to hire, and then there's the own tzir of himself. And by the melech, his self is greater and a higher bittul than the bittul of the am. Why? Because the whole concept of bittul and mitzvah is in a totally different caliber by the melech. Shalei be'er greater. Say you have a person that you give I feel I'm read the pashtus. You have someone that was b'shteit the mile of the melech. That he's a person that lives for ideals. You have an idealistic person, let's say, a person that cares about ideals and values. Or you have someone that his home mitzvah is what works for him, his pnius and his yeshes. Everything that he does is if it suits him or not. So that's velcha is a hecher mensch. That's hecherkeit. It's not a question of who. You could have one person, he has more seichel, it could be mansi, more hamsais of how to get what he wants. But his life is not a noble, or it's not a high life. It's not a. There's no. So for that, he has a lot of very strong keiches haseichel, but that's metish milas who has a faster keiches haseichel than the other one. That's not a milin muhus. Milin muhus is that he's a higher type of person. That means that he's more. He's more ideal. He cares more about ideals. He cares more about the truth. He's less about himself. Them b'shtei the mile. So if them zogmen that in them zin is the sardin, the whole am is shalei be'erech than the am. Was heist by zeh areiskin from zich. Was heist by zeh their Indian is by em heisich. Yeah, I'm saying we could see in Chassidus different dogmas, but that's that's the akbar. But the best together in any way is the shaila is what's happening on Pinchas number one. The Milas Hamelech is openly apparent. You don't have to be a pikach for that. And second of all, so what does it need reasons? What's that for non-masibis? Okay. So the Rebbe starts first explaining the nimshal, and then we will see what it means in the mashal. This sif is an important sif. This maimer, I don't know if Bachram learned it or not, but it's an important maimer. Not that I'm a shver or anything, but it's an important maimer. Says that they were talking that certain Maimer are not negain aveda, they're more heicheinanim. This is a Maimer is negain aveda. Asach pratim shabay. Okay, every Maimer is negain, but this is okay. L'chorei efshel varz that yidua shebederis rishayim. Eidu she'avdu l'chav mazalis yadu sh'ashev she'shuvar zadek l'chav mazalis meget v'shash meget ger shirachim holei she'im atzum mashpiyim al she'gish baruch mashpiya al yadam al she'tov v'chashvu sh'ashev she'shman yizbarach adek l'chav mazalis hu b'bchirasam. The sun gives light to the world, and the sun gives other qualities to the universe. There's certain tzmicha that stamms from the shemesh. So there's a shefa that comes, growth and produce and the verschiedene zachen that come through the sun, and certain things come through. Say megat geresh shirach. So the question is, so the Deiris Hashem, the first shlav of the tos of the zara, what is gemein that like Rebbe brings here shehem atzah mashpiyim. You say, just to use their toast, well, you say when you get, like they say, there's a mitzvah of kibbut avayim. Why is there a mitzvah of kibbut avayim? Anyway, everybody understands that it's not in certain things. It's not that the person has the ability to be made to have children. That means you need a keacham as it's the Eibusha's keach. It's not something which, or let's say other things which are clear that the fact that the aretz could be matzmiach tzmachim. That's not that the earth contains the quality of Yom Tzmiach Tzmach. There's a Keich Halaki. There's the Dvar Havaya of Tachi Aretz Desha. And thanks to the Keich Halaki, which is Malubash in the Aretz, therefore there can be Tzmach. So the Tos, but there's Hashem, wasn't that the earth in itself contains within itself the ability to be Tzmiach Tzmach. Or the sun has the ability to shine, to give light and to give nutrients, or whatever the sun has the ability to give. And the moon has the Keich to give things. The sun itself, they say, not that the earth has the ability to promote dirt and growth. There's the Varavaya, the Keich Halaki, which is invested in the earth, and the Keich Halaki that gives the earth the ability to grow. Was the event doesn't mean it's not that the sun within himself contains the ability to shine, but the Eibusher is the one, the Dvar Havaya, that says that you hear a kia, per kia, the he is dirt and air. And as mashpia earth to the shemesh, from dort stammt the fact that there's light in the sun, and the fact that the sun has what to emanate. That's neveh, because the Eibusher gives it a keich what to emanate, not that it has the ability to shine. We said that's or gehalten that the sun has bchira whether to be mashpia this shefa or not. The source of the shefa doesn't come from the sun; it comes from the Eibusher. Not the source. Everything was created by the Eibusher, but the source is not they didn't contribute the power, the hashpah, to the shemesh. But was the miziyah gehalten is that the shemesh has the choice whether to function and be mashpia there or not. If she wants, she can hold it inside. So if someone, let's say, is learning or he comes up with an idea, so he thinks that he came up with the idea. He came up with the idea. The Eibusher created him, but the Eibusher created him with an ability to come up with ideas. That's not what the Rebbe is saying here. According to that beer, you're saying that the Eibusher created a sun which has the ability to shine, which has the ability to give light. That wasn't the toss of the research. They haven't that the Sheva comes on mind. You say that when a person comes up with an idea, let's say it's the Eibusher being mashpia him, this idea is going through him. So the fact that the Shemesh is able to shine and give light is that the Eibusher is giving him this Sheva. Or Zem gehalten that the Shemesh has the if she wants, she could contain this Shefa and not give it further to Ladarim Aleh. That's some gehalten. And not the sortos. I'm being mad because a lot of times we look at Chitzenius, so we're learning like the second shlav that Rebbe says. The Rebbe says not the second shlav. The Rebbe speaks a different nekuda. But the Rebbe is touching here. We learn the Eibusher created the sun, and the sun contains within himself the ability to shine. That wasn't their mistake. They knew the sun doesn't have the ability to do anything. It's the Eibush that has the ability to give shefa to the world, to give that promoting growth with the Tinyan that I was speaking over here. He gives these things through the sun. But the sun doesn't have the ability to give these things. The same way you say, a person cannot doesn't have the ability himself to be made. If the Eibusher gives the person the ability to be made through the person's ma'asim, but it's not that the person within himself contains the ability. Let's say. So al derech zeh, dem gehad the shemesh doesn't have the ability to shine mitzvah. The Eibusher gives him the hashpah that he gives to the shemesh v'yerech. But they're taught to give in zeh gehalten that if he wants, he could stop working. In fact, in order for him to give the shefa further, he has to let it go. He has to let it be nishpa the other. If he wants, he could be lazy and stop giving what the Eibusher gives it to give over. That's the first source. See, they're not the source of the shefa. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mashpia. Means the Eibusher is giving light or giving the nutrients. They're speaking when they get to Megid Tvoi Shamish. He's giving the nutrients that the light has that helps the tzmachim. The Eibusher is being mashpiyat. He's mashpiyat through the sun, but you can't relate it to the sun. The fact that they're extending the shefa further, you say the Eibusher gave someone a svara, and now you have to give it further. If I want to get hold of it myself. So the svara that I'm saying, that the Rav Darton is saying, the Eibusher gave to him. There wasn't this chadash that Ismail. The Eibusher gave it. But the fact that he's giving it further to the Mekabel, that totally b'chirasa, doesn't zigal. So the qualities that the Shemesh has, it's not that he has a mitzat chumra, he has this chayim. Because the Eibusher gives him this whether to extend it further to the world, that he has a choice, whether to work and extend it to the world or not.
And they hold it's like parents.
Right, yeah. I'm saying that's also attached. And that means a person could look at Chazedis and say that earth is a zamen sartzach, which if you put water, it promotes. That's a toast. That's saying that the Eibusher created, and the shefa comes from the earth itself. Because they knew that the earth itself can't do anything. The Eibusher has to be. There's a Dvar Havai which says that the keich hatzmich is a keich halaki. Where did the Eibusher invest this keich halaki? That the keich hatzmich, which is keich halaki, goes through the earth. But not the earth is not das, but the Gabit Shemesh Yirech, the keich lahoyer is a keich halaki. Lahoyer ala aris ladoram alay. Now, but this keich is a keich which the Eibusher gave the sun. To extend this light further, that they have a choice. See when you get to the keich lahoyer, that's a keich halaki. But whether you're going to activate this keich or not, that's totally in the parents. The bchira. So Zem the same thing when you get the Shemesh Yirech. And the emes is nishim. Lo yodas emes she'elim b'chira klav v'rak garzim yad ha'chitziv. Same when you get to garzim yad ha'chitziv, say the axe has no choice whether it's just a tool. So al derech zeh, the emes is that the shemesh and the erech are garzim yad ha'chitziv. They have no say in the matter. They function because they're only a tool in the Eibusher's hand. This is the tos. Steht noch Sidis the tos. So this is the tos of the Deiris Rishonim. Was ist dort given? Okay, now, was hat es getan? So why? How was the Ram is coming to explain? This is a bit of Sidis, but there's different Yurim. What was the tos of the Deir Harishon? So the question is, why did they start the Shtachawes the Kechavim Azolis? Because they had Bchira. So I'm saying, they have to have a Karasatef. The Poil, if they wanted, they could have withheld the Ashpa. The fact that the Ashpa came to us, the Shefa comes from the Eibusher. The Keich HaTzmicha doesn't, you don't attribute the Keich HaTzmicha to the artist because it's a Keich HaLiki. But the Poil, if not the artist, it's not a good thing, but if the Shemesh Yirech wanted, they could withheld it. So we have to tell them thank you also. It's Chamr Lamar. Why? So the first reason, Kifita Usam, Ra'el Lahedis Lamazeh. They're Chamr Lamar, everything was L'Shakim. So it came out with Mitzat Tzedek V'Yesha. So the wine belongs to the owner. But you say thank you to the waiter. Why? Why do you say thank you to the waiter? If the waiter just guys, the wine, he has no ability to give you wine. The chamra is from the mother. But the pile, if the waiter wants, he could withhold it. That's not going to thank to the waiter also. So they don't contain the ability to give shefa. They don't have light. So the shefa comes on island, but the pile, they're the waiters. They're the ones that bring it to us. If they want, they can withhold it. That's the answer. So this, the Torah is in Tzedek V'Yesha. Then the Rebbe says, we'll see later, the Rebbe did verschiedene Sachen da. וגם כי לפי תאוסם שהכיכוב מהזוסים בעדי בחירה חושו שעדי שיעבדו איזה משפיע על המיוס. הם gehalten that the Eibusher's gives the asach mer. If we're going to appease them more and we'll be ibrigem to them, they'll give us more light. So for their own pniyas, there was Meisif. Now it wasn't only in Tzaddik Be'esh. For their own pniyas, say, why does some mitamal hate their own trachten? Is say derech eretz for they educated the world. The mitamal people are thinking we have to start chamra lemara to say thank you, koras hatayv to the shemesh v'yireh because they have bechira. Was mitamal hate their own trachten azeh? The Abisher is the main source. Now we have this idea. We already tipped the waiters already a musakad. The waiters came up with it. I'm saying, who came up with it to begin with? They're saying, Zim gata anagi in them. Zim gata, that if we're going to be mashtach with the Shemesh Yerech more, they might give us more shefa. So it wasn't because of a kodesh atay, but because they thought they're going to gain more. Yeah, we'll see later. This is an important point, which we're going to see later.